We've just come back from a business breakaway in Barcelona, and I know they say what happens in Barcelona stays in Barcelona, but in this episode, we're going to tell you what happened in Barcelona.
Hello, we're the two Lauras, and we have 25 years of self-employment racked up between us, and we will always be freelancers at heart forevermore.
So, yeah, we are just back from a business breakaway. We went to Barcelona, and we're going to spill the beans so you can know exactly what happened. Let's start with why we decided to do this, because obviously the two of us live on pretty much opposite ends of the country. We spend most of our day-to-days working together on Zoom. We're very rarely in person together. But that wasn't the only reason we went to Barcelona, was it?
No, I think the most important reason for us is we need to remove our laptops. We need to remove ourselves from the day-to-day grind, so to speak. And I think this would even stem back for me before we started working together. If ever I was having a bit of a block, or I was a bit frustrated, or just a bit bored maybe of doing the same kind of thing, and I wanted to maybe think of something new to do, but I couldn't think because I've got the day-to-day stuff going on, I would try to remove myself from that situation. And that, 10 years ago may have just been like a walk around the park and back. It might not have been anything more than that. But certainly since we've started working together, when we have taken the time out and obviously seen each other, not only can we actually get photos of us in the same place, which is always a bonus, but it does allow us to have that time to just think a bit more creatively, think outside the box, and let the creativity flow, so to speak.
It also I'm very much like you, like even back in the day when I very first sort of started my own business, I have to get out of my house to remind myself that there is a whole big world of opportunity out there. Because when you're just stuck in your laptop and you're seeing the same people on social media, for example, you can think that there's not very many leads that you can go after. There's not very many different ways that you can take your business. And as soon as you walk up the road and you see the different type of shops there are, the different type of people walking around, it just changes your whole mindset, doesn't it? And Barcelona definitely had that effect on us. We definitely changed how we were thinking about things. But I think what you just said as well, it's really easy to just get sucked into the day-to-day sort of monotony of working on your clients' accounts, dealing with your family, doing the housework, although I have to admit I'm not very good at that one. And that takes away all of your creative thinking space and all of the time. And me and you have both got massive brain fog right now, haven't we? But just being able to step away and clear your mind a bit just makes you be able to regroup, refocus, and just become more creative. So that's why we decided we were going to get together, wasn't it? Barcelona just happened to be the place that we decided to go to.
Yeah, why travel 200 miles when you can travel 1,000 or whatever it is?
Is it that far? Who knows?
Yeah, I looked, because I'm a geek like that, and I like to look at maps, whereas clearly, as we then discovered in Barcelona, Laura Moore cannot read a map. Yeah, so we decided, obviously, that so we do this quite regularly. We meet up, and we've done that in various different places over time. But this time we decided, well, why don't we take our members with us? Mainly because I think we thought people don't do this, do they? We don't take time out of our day-to-day. We all know that our businesses come second fiddle to our clients, whether or not that's the right way to be or not. Obviously it's not. But we wanted to kind of give people a reason to say this is okay. This is okay to take a couple of days out of day-to-day business, a couple of days out of doing the laundry, doing the school run, and just remove yourself to put yourself in a position that might help you to think differently, think more clearly, come up with different ideas. So we thought we would give our members the opportunity to come with us.
And sometimes, in the most weirdest way, we need permission from somebody else to do that, don't we?
Yeah. Or permission from the accountant in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted a chance to for us, it was a case of we wanted to remove ourselves so we can do some work and just think a bit differently. But also we wanted to just spend time with our members and see with our own eyes what they were kind of experiencing, the conversations they were having. And obviously, where possible, we wanted to be able to help and advise and just join in with those conversations across the table. And that for us was really valuable. But it was, I think, without doubt, useful for us, and I hope it was useful to the members who came with us as well. But if you are feeling a bit like, God, I need this creativity, I need this time, then literally just keep your headphones in and walk out the door now and just go and have a bit of time away from your laptop.
Yeah, even if you're just walking around the block or going and sitting in your local cafe, it's just so valuable, isn't it? That space. And if you've got somebody who you can do that with, someone who gets it, then that will add even more value onto that, I think, for sure. Because we talked about so many things, didn't we? Around the table, when we were walking around, when you were drinking a lot of sangria. There were so many different conversations that we had throughout those few days that we wouldn't generally have, because we just wouldn't be in the right mind frame or the right setting to have those kind of conversations. And I tell you what I found really, really interesting. During each day, we had time where we would be sitting outside, I have to say, in lovely weather with our laptops. But that wasn't when we had the best ideas or the best conversations about business, was it? When we actually had the business in front of us?
No, we were talking about our businesses when sat on top of a tour bus around Barcelona, or just pottering around the streets, or the conversation definitely flowed, didn't it, between work, clients, home life. But all of that to us was really interesting because, yes, Laura and I, we're both busy people. We've both got a lot of commitments at home. We are in many respects like you are. We're busy people. And although we kind of recognise that, and I know that we understand that of our audience, and we understand that we're not all just sat around working, from the crack of dawn till sunset, although maybe we are, I don't know. But to us, we wanted to understand more about, is that just us? Are we the only busy fools? So it was quite nice from our perspective to just hear that actually other people have got shit happening, and how that actually impacts on our day-to-day work. And it was just reassuring for us, but also really useful for us, because it just keeps us grounded. It keeps us remembering, we can't expect so much of people because we are all got a lot going on, haven't we? And that varies obviously from one person to another.
Yeah, and sometimes we can get stuck in our own imposter syndrome because we think that we're the only people who are dealing with shit in our lives, and then we can't focus on what we need to do. But it's not just us. Everyone's got different priorities. Everyone's got different things going on, different reasons for doing things or not doing things. And just hearing that from other people can just sometimes be so reassuring, can't it? And it just makes you remember that it's not just you or the people who are directly with you sitting around the table eating the tapas who are having these problems. It could be the people who, you're trying to get leads and they're dealing with different things. Your clients who are not responding to your email, they're dealing with different things. And it's just remembering that to other people, you're not their priority. We're all focused on our own stuff. And I think that was really a really important reminder for all of us around those tables. And we're quite nosy. We want to know what's happening in other people's lives, but it's not just because we're nosy. It's just because sometimes you just need a reminder just to pull yourself back into the room, almost to remind yourself it's not just you that's dealing with all of this shit.
Yeah. From a more specific point of view, obviously it was really useful for us to see what people were struggling with, why they were struggling, how they'd kind of got to that point in their head. And it was really useful for us to help, or hopefully for them to help kind of unpick that and to go through that process in reverse. Diane was really keen to launch her socials, and I think I'm sure she won't mind me saying, had built it up in her head to needing to launch herself, some big...
Yeah, we were going to be planning for a party and I'd brought the wrong dress.
Whereas actually we just sat down and we just talked about the kind of content she might want to share, and she'd actually already written a LinkedIn post, hadn't she? And she'd got it on her notes, and like we both read it and we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, just post it and just start. And so that's what she did. So that was like monumental. Like, we actually, she actually started posting on her socials.
But I think what was interesting as well about that, and what was useful for her, was how honest you were about how you feel about LinkedIn. Are you happy to talk about that on a podcast?
Well, I've talked about it in front of a few people in Barcelona. I could talk about it on a podcast with a few more listeners. Yeah, so I am someone who has never had imposter syndrome in any kind of big way. Like, if I had ever had those kind of self-doubts, it was easy for me to talk myself out of it. I never really worried about what people think of me. And by and large, I still don't. Like, I honestly couldn't give two hoots what half the people around me think of me, as long as the people that are important to me think good things, and that's all that matters. But it was back in, I can't remember when it was, summertime.
Yeah.
And I wanted to post on LinkedIn. And I can't remember why. I can't remember what my motivation was. And I posted, and I have never felt the way I felt after that before. And thankfully, I haven't felt like it again, albeit I've had similar feelings. But I felt sick. I posted, I felt sick. I had heart palpitations. I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't think of anything else. I completely zoned out. And it was horrible. Like, I cried. I couldn't. And I hadn't even posted anything that good. It
wasn't even controversial or something that people were going to come and pick at you for, was it?
Yeah, and Laura did her usual, just get a grip. And then I think it was the next day I was like, no, Laura, this was not good. It just made me think, God, if this is how people feel about their socials, it just made me think about things in a completely different way, and probably made me, I don't know, maybe a bit of a better person because of it, because actually I'd walked around in the luxurious place of being able to just say, oh, sort yourself out, Laura, and that previously had worked for me. But in this case, I couldn't. I just had this massive self-doubt, a bit of self-loathing, what have I got to say? Why is anyone interested in me? I kind of feel all emotional just saying about it. I don't know what, and I don't know what it was. I don't know where it came from. It completely took the wind out of my sails, and I still don't think I am how I used to be a person who would post daily without question, often twice. I wouldn't care. I didn't even care if I put out rubbish, not perfect posts. I'm not that type of person. I'm not a perfectionist. And yeah, I suddenly became this person who couldn't do anything, and I was completely frozen. And really now I still struggle. It's only because I've got Laura going, post this, say this, write it like this, that pushes me out of my comfort zone. So I can imagine if that was me on my own and in my own freelance business, I can totally understand how worrying it can feel. It doesn't affect how I work with my clients. It doesn't affect what I'm doing for anybody else. But for me, putting myself out there, it was really alien. I have no answers to anybody's questions, apart from, I have to say, every time I have posted, I have felt a little bit better and less kind of anxious about how it's perceived.
But I think the thing that you're forgetting is that, yeah, maybe you're not 100% over that, but when we were in Barcelona, just you sharing that story with other people will have helped other people. And just you sharing that story on this podcast will help other people realise it's not just them who maybe are facing these issues. And bringing it back to what we were talking about in Barcelona, just being able to hear from other people that it's not just you, that is a big thing, isn't it? Some of the conversations we had where we were just like, oh, thank God it's not just me. And Diane's face when you told her how you felt about posting on LinkedIn, it was very clear that she was relieved that it wasn't just her that was having this big block. So I think, bloody good on you for sharing the story.
Thanks.
She doesn't get my praise very much. This will probably last her for the whole year.
I'll take it. Can you just write it down? So
I'll put it on a
post-it.
Put
it in writing. It's not just that, is there? It's, we had conversations about what was going on with our clients, and it's just useful sometimes to say, well, I've had that, and when I remember when we had this, and so it is useful from an emotional perspective potentially, but also from a practical point of view of, I've dealt with this, and this is how I dealt with it, and this is how you could deal with it. So yeah, it was those conversations were invaluable to us because of how much we kind of gained, and it kept things in perspective for us. It grounded us. It kind of put us back in our boxes. It reminded us of what we were doing and what we were kind of up against, I guess. But also, I hope it was useful for them to be able to, just have those conversations and people get it. And without doubt, those best conversations we had and the best learnings we all had was when the laptops were closed, they were in the hotel rooms, and we were just out having conversations. So being around people and having conversations and just chit chat was actually hugely valuable. So even if you don't have people local you can speak to, like jump on Zoom or, and I know that goes against what I just said about putting your laptop away, but, needs must. Have conversations with people who, get it. Like we've got the studio in the Inner Hub membership where people can just go in and chit chat. Yes, they can use it to get work done and use it as a co-working space, but often they're arranging calls to just have chats about specific things. And I just think we all need to do that more often, because we can become our own worst enemies, can't we, when we're sat in an office or on our own.
Yeah, and I'm the worst person for that. Like, I rarely leave my house and see other human beings. So, yeah, I think it's really important to do that. The other thing that was really interesting when we were in Barcelona, and this is something like me and Laura are forever saying, there's content in that, there's an email in that, there's a podcast in that. But the amount of content that we spotted, or content ideas that we spotted when we were in Barcelona, was unbelievable, wasn't it? Literally everywhere we turned, we were like, there's content in that. Oh, Diane, you could post this, or Rachel, you could post that, or Laura, you should put this on LinkedIn. Just everywhere, wasn't it? And I think so often we get blocked, don't we? We know we need to go and post on Instagram, for instance, and market our business, but we can't think of what it is to say. And just getting out of your house, getting out of the environment that you normally work in, and going for a walk or going and sitting and drinking some sangria with some friends, you will spot so many content opportunities. Like there was just unbelievable amount, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I wish we'd probably taken a notebook and pen for half
and
of
more
those
photos.
Conversations and more photos. Yeah, because, and if anything, it became a little bit of a running joke, wasn't it? I think like even, sat in the airport on the way home, it's like, there's content in that, there's content in this, there's content in that. But it's true. And yes, we may end up becoming the people that we talked about on our previous podcast. Which...
having some marketing segues.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, that was our podcast about LinkedIn, when we were talking about my 30-day LinkedIn challenge. A couple of episodes back, we were talking about everyone who can somehow create a marketing segue from whatever they were doing in Greg's buying a sausage roll. But yeah, go and listen to that episode so you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we'll link it in the show notes. But it's true, isn't it? But I don't know whether I would have had those same kind of content inspiration if I wasn't with those people, with us all. Yeah. Like I think, if I'd have been with my husband and looked up at a cathedral with a great big Galaxy Samsung ad on the top of it, and if I'd have just gone to him, God, look at that for an ad placement, he'd have gone over his head. He just wouldn't have. The conversation would have ended there. Yeah,
it would have been more a conversation about how ugly it's made a cathedral look, rather than how it's related to where an ad is placed in marketing.
Yeah. So it's definitely worth having those conversations with people who get it, and that's no offence to my husband.
Poor husband. Yeah, so it was definitely worth doing. Would we do it again? 100%. You do it again?
Yeah, I would do it again. Different city next time, maybe.
Yeah. I'll still let you read the map, but yeah.
Okay, so obviously this podcast has been a little bit more informal, maybe a bit more chatty, talking about some of the things that obviously we've done recently. We would love to know whether you found it useful, interesting, whether you're just happy to have more chatty ones. So do let us know what you think. We'd love to hear.
And also, if we were to arrange another business breakaway, would you come? Let us know. Drop into our DMs, maybe on Instagram, and just let us know where, would you come along with us? Where should we go? And maybe we'll arrange something for next year. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.